Insomniac Games blew us away in 2018 with their version and their creation of Spider-Man. And while the game wasn't perfect, it made a pretty strong argument for being the best open world game based on the wall crawler. At the time, if you were somehow able to remove the weird stealth sections in the campaign, it could have been even better than the classic Spider-Man 2 from 2004. I'll let you guys debate that. But now that the sequel is around the corner, gamers everywhere are excited to see what improvements Insomniac is going to make to the formula. Welcome to the channel, everybody. Chaos. Today, we're going to go over everything that we know about Spider-Man 2, including a number of things that leaked over the last few weeks. So make sure you stick around till the end because you don't want to miss any of this. Drop a like if you're excited for this game. Make sure you're subscribed with those notifications fully turned on so you don't miss anything in the future. And we start off with Spider-Man 2's announcement. Now, it was announced back in September of 2021 with a cinematic trailer showing off a number of details about the game's concept. Both Peter and Miles are confirmed to be appearing in the game, and they're likely going to be playable, which makes sense given how the first game's campaign ended. Multiple villains were confirmed to be appearing: Venom, Kraven the Hunter, but it's also believed that the Green Goblin will play some kind of role in this story given how many times he was teased in the previous game during some of the stealth missions in it. Now, alongside the cinematic reveal trailer, there was also a trailer for the upcoming Wolverine game, which is believed to have something to do with Insomniac's universe, but that topic's for another video, another day. I hope Insomniac is making a video game cinematic Marvel universe. It's going to be great. Now, in late 2022, it was confirmed that Insomniac Games and Sony were planning on releasing Spider-Man 2 in the fall of 2023. Which would line up pretty well with the first game's launch, which was in the fall of 2018. This would also mean there would be a whopping 5-year gap between the two games, which is a pretty long time to wait in between franchise installments. But then again, the modern gaming industry has been making us wait a long time for pretty much everything, so it's not too out of the ordinary anymore. They're kind of pulling a Rockstar here, and if they're going to go the lines of Rockstar, we're going to get a game every 5 to 7 years, you can bet your pants that the game is going to be really good. So in the first week of February, we also got another teaser from Tony Todd, who is the voice actor for Venom in the new game. He tweeted out, hashtag Venom rules, hashtag Spider-Man 2, hashtag beware, hashtag say my name, and it's totally possible that I'm reading too far into this, but it seems to suggest that there is going to be a pretty dark tone surrounding the character, which I think everybody here can agree we're all down for. In the comics, Venom is a very scary character who takes great joy in tormenting his victims, and Peter Parker especially. If this tweet was meant to reflect that, I'm even more hyped than before to see what Insomniac is going to do with the character. Goofy Venom is fun, and he is, but I'm kind of eager to see the more darker tone, visceral, old school version of the character personally. Now, at the end of January, the release window was once again confirmed to be fall of 2023, but this time it was through a leaked advertisement that we should officially be seeing around the internet within the next few weeks, or you may be watching this video and it's already up. The clip was reportedly caught after an accidental early airing, and it showed off a live-action clip of Peter and Miles swinging around the city before a pop-up confirms the release window and states that the PS5 consoles are back in stock and ready for purchase. Clips of the promo circulated the internet before Sony attempted to wipe them, but the full version should be officially released in the very near future to kick off the game's marketing campaign, which I assume is going to be massive. Now, one thing that is believed to be coming in the new game actually came from the previous game's PC port. When Spider-Man Remastered was ported to the PC in fall of 2022, gamers finally got the chance to dig into those game files and try to uncover anything that was unused or cut from the base game, and it did not take long for the sleuths to find some pretty major items. Hidden in the game files of Spider-Man Remastered are assets for an unfinished multiplayer mode, where one player would control Peter and one would control Miles. Makes sense. It's unclear just how the mode would play out, but it's believed it was some kind of PvPvE mode where the two players were competing with each other while beating up hordes of enemies and trying to beat each other's score, kind of like a friendly competition while trying to achieve a common goal. The player in the lead would be given the title of the superior Spider-Man, but obviously none of it was actually included in the final build of the game. However, it didn't take long for people to start theorizing that this multiplayer mode was actually never intended to be part of Spider-Man Remastered. Instead, it's believed that this multiplayer mode was actually a testing ground for Spider-Man 2. Think about it. Why would there be a multiplayer mode starring Peter and Miles in a game where Miles doesn't get his powers until the very end of the game and players didn't actually get to play as a superpowered Miles until his spin-off? Why would there be a multiplayer mode starring him and Peter in the game files of Spider-Man Remastered? Now, believe it or not, it's not uncommon for game developers to use existing games as a testing ground for concepts they plan on using in later projects. For example, Insomniac Games could have the idea for a multiplayer mode starring both Peter and Miles, but since they obviously hadn't made the game starring both of them yet, they could have just used Spider-Man Remastered as their playground for the multiplayer concept, essentially using the assets of Spider-Man Remastered and making a custom match of sorts to get a rough idea of how the multiplayer mode would play out in the sequel. There aren't a ton of multiplayer assets left in the remastered game files, but there's more than enough to confirm that there was at one point during development, and given the fact that Spider-Man 2 is going to star both of them, I wouldn't be shocked at all if it's confirmed in the very near future that the sequel will have some kind of PvPvE multiplayer mode. Now let's move on, or let's stay with the topic of Peter and Miles. The cinematic trailer seemed to confirm some kind of tag team combat system that reminded me kind of Batman Arkham Knight. Insomniac Spider-Man already took a huge amount of creative liberties with the Arkham formula, including the counter-based combat and stealth arenas, but for those that don't know, Batman Arkham Knight actually had some large combat arenas where Batman and one of his allies would be fighting a bunch of enemies, and there would be a tag team mechanic and fancy takedown option for the heroes, and they could perform it together. It was pretty cool, honestly. There's a couple shots in the Spider-Man 2 trailer that show Peter and Miles working together to take down an enemy. While this trailer obviously didn't have gameplay, I think maybe Insomniac put the segments in there for a reason. What if Spider-Man 2 has this big group fight where you can shift control from Peter to Miles and then occasionally do a tag team move takedown? I don't know. Peter and Miles seem to be sharing the spotlight in the game, and I'd imagine the idea of doing some kind of tag team system has crossed Insomniac's mind at least sometimes during development. So while the tag team combat wasn't confirmed at the time of this video, I bet you we're going to get it. Now let's talk about something that was unclear up until this point. But, I mean, it's been unclear up until this point, is that Spider-Man 2 is going to have with Sony's animated Spider-Verse. What's the connection going to be? Sony found great success with the PlayStation Spider-Man franchise, and they got critical acclaim for the Spider-Verse a few years ago. But shockingly, during a trailer for the upcoming Across the Spider-Verse, it was confirmed that the two universes are indeed connected. Peter from Insomniac's universe actually made a cameo appearance in the trailer for Across the Spider-Verse, meaning there's at least something there between Insomniac and Sony, and since the upcoming movie is also expected to link up in the MCU in some form or fashion, I mean, that would make Insomniac Spider-Man kind of connected to the MCU, right? I know it sounds arbitrary, sounds pointless to you, but when you think about how determined Sony has been to ride off of MCU's coattails in the recent years, it wouldn't shock me at all if they tried to promote Insomniac's Marvel Universe as part of the MCU in some kind of marketing campaign. This is the same thing that Sony shoved the MCU's version of the Vulture into Morbius in some attempt to get ticket sales, so I wouldn't put it past them at all to promote Insomniac's game as part of the MCU. That's not a bad thing. It's not for the universes to be connected. Just don't be too surprised if Across the Spider-Verse comes out and then all of a sudden you see Sony acting like the PlayStation is now home of the MCU games. So you guys let me know what you think. Are you going to be buying Spider-Man 2 on day one? What are your thoughts so far? Are you excited? Are you skeptical? Are you waiting? What do you think about all the connections to a bigger gaming universe and the MCU and the Spider-Verse? Hope you guys have a great day. See you soon.